Here we'll work an example with a wide-angle camera lens. It has a length of 125 millimeters, and we're asked how long is that in inches. Let's first write that we'll start with millimeters, and we're going to try to go to inches. Let's note that millimeters is a metric unit, while inches is a US unit. Now if we start by looking for millimeters somewhere on this reference table, we won't find it anywhere. That means we can't attack this problem by starting from millimeters. So instead, let's look for inches. In the first line, we have a conversion factor that could take us from inches to centimeters. Now, since inches are our goal, we'll have to work backwards. We'll say that we'll have inches at the end, but in order to get to inches, we'll have to go through centimeters. Now, centimeters is a metric unit, not a US unit. This means that one of our steps will involve a metric to US conversion. The good news, however, is we start with a metric unit, that's millimeters. That means it is possible for us to get from millimeters to centimeters. We can freely convert in between metric units all we want. However, we have not done a conversion from millimeters to centimeters before in our video series. If you're in doubt here, you can go to the base metric unit first in order to get to any other metric unit. So we could go from millimeters to the base unit, which is regular meters, and then go from meters to centimeters. Once we're in centimeters, we can use that 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters conversion to make the final move. We can work this, therefore, as a 3-step conversion problem. The first step will be millimeters to meters, the second step, meters to centimeters, and the third step, centimeters to inches. Let's review our metric conversions for meters. Remember, 1 meter is the same as 100 centimeters, and also 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. Let's begin with our 125 millimeters. We'll multiply by 3 fractions in a row. In our first fraction, we're going to get out of millimeters, so that will go to the bottom, and get into meters, that will go on the top. Then we send the meters down to the bottom of the next fraction, and we'll need centimeters at the end of our second move. We'll place that on the top. Then we'll take those centimeters and send them down to the bottom of the third fraction. At the end of the third arrow, we have inches. This will be our final unit. Now that we have our letters straightened out, let's enter the numbers. In our first fraction, we have meters to millimeters. Our conversion from meters to millimeters is here on the final line. I'll label that with a 1. We place a 1 next to meters and 1,000 next to millimeters. Then in our next fraction, we have meters and centimeters. That's our next to last line. I'll label that with a 2 because these numbers will go into the second fraction. 1 will go next to meters and 100 will go next to centimeters. Then for our third fraction, we'll need inches and centimeters. That's going to be the first line in this table. 1 will go next to inches, and 2.54 will go next to centimeters. Now let's do the math. We'll begin with our 125. We will multiply by 1, which I can skip because multiplying by 1 will not change the answer. Then we'll divide by 1,000. Then we'll multiply by 100. Then we divide by 1, but dividing by 1 won't change our answer. So let's move on to the third fraction. In the third fraction, we'll multiply by 1, which again won't change the answer. Then we divide by 2.54. So our operations will be 125, divide by 1,000, multiply by 100, divide by 2.54. Let's enter that into the calculator. We enter 125, divide 1,000, multiply by 100, and divide by 2.54. When we press enter, we get 4.92. Now let's examine the units. The millimeters that we started with will cancel out with the bottom of the first fraction, The meters we got from the first fraction cancel with the bottom of the second fraction. The centimeters we've got in the second fraction cancel with the bottom in the third fraction, leaving us with just inches. And this was the unit we were after. So we'll say this wide-angle camera has a lens of about 4.92 inches.